Alright, let's talk about the clone stamp. With the clone stamp, you're able to duplicate one portion of the image onto another portion of the image, exactly like it was from the original source. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this image here. And I know this is a silly example, but I can't think of a better one at the moment, so we'll use this. Basically, the clone stamp's right here. Let me turn the size down. By the way, the left bracket makes your brush size smaller, and the right bracket makes it larger. So it's a quick shortcut. Anyways, as you can see right here, we got some nice lashes here, and if we wanted to fill this in, basically make them more dense, we can do that with a clone stamp. And all you need to do is basically hold down the Alt key, and that'll basically direct Photoshop where to clone from, basically the source point. So we're going to make the source point right there at the edge of the lash, and click on the mouse and then let go, and immediately go to the area in between and click the mouse and hold down as we paint. And basically what that does is it takes the source right here and it paints it over here. The reason why the adjacent lashes became semi-transparent is because our brush size is kind of large with a soft edge bristle brush. So we're gonna go back and undo this in the history and then make this smaller, so this way it does not overlap too much. And let's start this over again. Hold down the Alt key, source click, and then drag over here, and then click down and paint away. And basically, as you can see, what that has done is it duplicated the lash right here onto this area right here, and it did that very cleanly. And the reason it works so well is because the area that I'm cloning from is very close to where I'm cloning to, and the difference in tones is very small, so it looks like a really good match. If we were to do this in another area, you may notice that here, let me just randomly select. Let's say, for example, I want to take this wrinkle. Let's Alt click to select the source, and I want to put it down over here. And as you can see, as I'm painting those wrinkles in, the skin tone from the source point to the destination point is different enough to where it shows up, and obviously it looks fake. So let's undo that. That's one of the disadvantages of a clone stamp, is that it does not take tonal values in account when it's moving a portion of the image onto another portion of an image. So it has limited usefulness. There are points, there's occasions where it's very useful, like on the edges. For example, you have like a poor piece of skin that you wanna. Here, let me see if I can find something. Well, on this image we don't really have anything, but basically, the next lesson is going to be on the healing brush, and one of the healing brush's disadvantages is it samples colors and tonal values from adjacent area, and when you're working on an edge, like on this chin for example, it'll pull colors in from the area, and it'll look really obvious. And that's one of the strong points in the clone stamp, is you can take an area from here, for example, and stick it here. Although I moved it, let me just redo this again. My alignment wasn't exactly perfect. Let me try that one more time. Okay, there. It still looks like a clean edge. With a healing brush it wouldn't look this way, and you'll see what I mean in the next lesson. So that's basically all it is. And you can align clone. Let me move back away from the image. Oops. As you can see, we have align check, and what that basically is your source point, let's say it's here, and your destination point are always aligned. If I start over again, the distance between them is always the same. And if you uncheck the aligned checkbox and you try to do the same thing, the source point will always remain in that portion, no matter where you move your mouse to. So that's one of the two ways to work with it. And you can also clone into different layer modes, which we're not going to get into right now. Usually almost exclusively, I always clone and heal in the normal mode, and then changing the layers information later, and you get to learn that in a bit later. So that's pretty much all there is to know about the clone stamp. It's quite useful in some occasions and not so in others. So I guess it just you would go back and forth between the healing brush and the clone stamp, alternating depending on what area of the image works better in which tool. So